Food Court, the movie podcast, and Twitch stream where Sean.
And Michael.
What's so funny?
Okay. We'll never get through an intro ever, will we? I was trying to open the Gmail to get my notes, and it totally took over the screen. So both of our faces disappeared.
Oh, that's really scary.
Anyways, we should just Food Court.
Perfect. It's a movie podcast, and we're on it, and we watch shit, and we talk shit, and most importantly, we eat shit. Though lately we don't eat shit, but that's fine.
But I did eat shit recently.
Tell me more.
In life.
Within life itself.
In life, but also I've been trying it out. You drop so much out of your butt. It's like, well, I might as well pick it back up and eat it.
Yeah. You've been eating actual excrement? Like pig flamingos?
Yeah, don't knock it till you try it, all right?
I'm not knocking it. I support you.
I love it. No, just kidding. That was just a joke, a gag for the podcast.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness.
But I did eat something that you brought up on the show quite a while ago.
Call back to whatever episode that was. Who knows? If you're a fan of the show, write in. Please tell us what episode Sean first brought up the flaming hot, pickle-flavored Lay's chips. Did you eat the little pickle chips?
Yes, because you sent a text and I had completely blocked them out of my mind, their existence. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I gotta try that. Went to the store. They only had the party size giant bag. I went,
the only size you need to buy them in, man.
Yeah, it was a sign, I think, that I needed to buy that size.
The Lord was like, you got to gain some weight,
you
baby.
need to get fat, bitch.
Eat all these pills.
Yeah, so that happened, and I like them. They're very spicy. I ate a bunch of them, probably more than I should have.
Yes.
But it was like, I didn't eat dinner, so I was like, well, I'll just eat 2 bowls worth of these chips.
Chips are dinner.
This
is, if you learn one thing from Food Court Movie Podcast, it is chips are dinner. If you are hungry and you eat, then it's a meal, even if it's chips.
Yeah.
We, just to let you know before we get too deep into the nonsense, watched the Spike Lee film, The Five Bloods.
Yes, we did watch it.
And we will talk about it. But first, before we talk about it, I must say this important thing. Yes. And I usually say this at the end of the show, but I'm going to say it at the beginning. If you like this show, and even if you hate it, but you listen to it just because, like, I don't know, it makes you enraged to listen to us, like some people watch Tucker Carlson or something just to be pissed off. Maybe you do that with this show.
Yeah.
Would you tell all of your best friends about this show?
Please.
And most importantly, your rich friends. I mean, the poor friends are fine, but they have less actual value, but also less strategic value. I mean, like, are poor people just going to tell other poor people about us, and then what are they going to do?
They can't listen to this.
They're
not. We actually don't want them in here. Okay.
We have a tax bracket that we want to hit.
Yes.
And if you are below it, you do not belong listening to this podcast.
You don't qualify.
And if you have to ask how much, you can't afford it. Sorry, you can't afford to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, whoops.
So tell your friends, tell all of your best friends, send them a personal text and say, dear friend or acquaintance.
Yes.
I love Food Court Movie Podcast. Thank you so much.
Oh, that would be great.
And maybe a hyperlink. Include a hyperlink.
You know,
they can just click over.
Another way you could do it is if you have enemies that you despise.
Yes.
But they don't know it, like you're pretending to be their friend or something. Yes. Then you send them a link and go, you're going to love this podcast.
Yeah.
And that would be a good way to get them.
Yeah. Then they hear it, and they love it. But deep down, they get a sense like, I think that person hates me.
Yeah. Right.
I love this podcast, but they sent it to me because they hate me.
They absolutely must hate me.
We watched The Five Bloods.
Speaking of things no, I'm just kidding.
Spoiler alert, I think Michael hated this movie. Or maybe mildly disliked it.
Mildly is a good way to put it.
Mildly?
We'll
That's
get
actually
into
not
it.
bad.
Yeah, it's
considering.
surprising, for me.
You are, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, a huge racist. So, a movie like this, where there's like 3 white people,
yeah, it was weird.
Not like it.
I got this weird feeling. I just didn't feel comfortable.
You have like the generic racist feeling, like when racists talk about how like they were walking down the street and they saw a black guy and they got uncomfortable and like they grabbed their wallet. You have that feeling just when you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's too many black people in this movie.
Also, when I'm walking down the street and I get that feeling, I grab my cock.
What do you do with it?
I just go, ooh, better hold on to this.
What if they steal my dick?
Yeah, what if they take it away? Don't take it away.
Sell it on the black market. Wink.
Miniature penis.
Immature? Is it immature?
Oh, miniature. I'm sorry.
Oh, miniature.
Immature is pretty
Minotaur penis.
Oh my gosh, I wish. Oh, we can dream.
Too. I wish I had a half human, half bull penis. That's my dream. It's always been my dream since I was a little Minotaur boy.
Yeah, little boy. Mommy, when will I
Sweet mother of mine, may I have a word with thee? I would like a half bull, half human penis, my mother of mine.
Mother of mine.
Toy, teedly toy, tee toy. Speaking of my Irish mother.
This movie needed more people talking like that.
That's true. That'd be great if it's the same actors, but they're all like, "Oh, we need to get to our gold."
Yeah, we're the
high it actually is appropriate.
Yeah,
we thought of gold. Oh, just Delroy Lindo,
yeah,
looking huge, having this beautiful
Vietnamese gold.
Oh, we're stealing our gold back. Toy, tiddly toy, tiddly toy, toy, toy.
Okay, here's a question I have: are accents inherently racist? Like doing an impression, because I more am laughing at the sound of it.
Yes,
because it sounds so stupid. Like when people.
Yes. Yes.
But some people are like,
all accents, because we're Americans, sound silly to us.
Yeah.
So anything, even I grew up in the north.
Yes.
Of America.
Mm-hmm.
So like even the southern accent, it's a silly accent.
Yeah.
Why? Hey, darn, you want to go down a deep darn? So I actually had an idea about a bit about this a million years ago.
Please.
We're never going to talk about this movie, but at some point we will. At some point we will. This is the bit basically. Mm-hmm. I go to this 4-way stop near my house. It's like a what the New Yorkers would call a bodega.
Yes.
And the dude in there, this is just a guess. Someone told me he was from Iraq. He may not be from Iraq, but he is from somewhere in the Middle East. Somewhere. And when I go in there, he is doing, he's talking in his native tongue, whatever it may be.
Sure.
And it occurred to me at some point that, like, even if he was talking kind of vaguely Middle Eastern nonsense, I would have no clue. If he was doing, like, gibberish, I'd be like, wow, your culture is so beautiful.
It is, yeah, I respect your culture.
Yeah, I'd do something like that. Some kind of, like, generic white person thing, like, oh, it's so, your mother tongue is so beautiful. What are you saying? And he's just like yelling at his son to shut the fuck up or something. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this is so beautiful. What are you saying?
I love that. I love that something can sound like romantic and sweet, but they're just saying the worst possible thing.
You fucking bitch, I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Oh. Your culture is
so sweet. Almost said spicy. So spicy.
And spicy. It's very sweet and spicy.
Well,
the 5 bloods.
Yeah, so you talked about mother tongue. I want to talk about brother tongue, okay?
Thank you. I want to talk about that too. I'll do the plot.
Please.
These fine fellows
5
served in Vietnam.
4.
5 dudes. Is it 5?
There's
5
5.
become 4 because 1 dies. And there's tons of spoilers in this.
Yes.
and they are going back to Vietnam because when they were first in Vietnam, they found a bunch of gold.
Yeah,
and they buried it.
There was some kind of war going on or something.
Yes, there was the Korean War.
Yeah.
happening in Vietnam.
Yeah, bled over.
Yeah. They're like, well, what the hell? And so they got the gold, but they bury it with or near their friend who has died.
Yes.
A guy named Stormin' Norman, played by the late, great Chadwick Boseman.
He was
and I have to say, I mean, I don't consider myself like the world's biggest Chadwick Boseman fan.
Yeah.
But there's something about like them showing his picture and like he's already a ghost in this movie.
Yeah.
For the whole thing. But the fact that he is so recently dead really kind of makes it powerful. Like it's haunting. The moment they show the picture, I was just like, felt a little choked up, like, oh, that's sad. Like just some young dude dying. It's just sad. I mean, his character is a young dude dying, and his real life person is a young dude dying. Like levels of sadness is rough.
Oh yeah, there was some weight to it, and it grounded it more because they've shown all these other like historical pictures, and then you're like, oh shit, like this isn't real. Yeah.
Sweet Chadwick. But they're back in Vietnam to get their gold and also to get his body that they buried so long ago. And they are played by all the big heavy hitters: Delroy Lindo, Clark Peters, Norm Lewis, and Isaiah Whitlock Jr. played the Four Bloods, and Jonathan Majors plays their son.
Yes, he does.
And basically from there, it is just a long fucked up journey to get the gold and to desperately try to get the gold out.
Yes.
And almost everything goes wrong. People get shot.
Oh.
Somebody steps on a mine. A whole bunch of crazy ass shit happens.
It gets really rough.
Sometimes they cut to old school footage of things happening. Sometimes Spike in all movies is like weird and heavy handed. And in this, of course, he is also weird and heavy-handed. But it's for me, and I'm gonna be the positive one. I'm guessing. For me, the thing I love about Spike Lee movies, and I've seen not that many, but like 10.
Yeah, sure, that's a lot.
Is that he swings for the fucking fences?
I
mean, he is like, I'm gonna go all in on the music. I'm going to go all in on the performances. There's going to be 4 or 5 different aspect ratios. We're shooting on film. We're shooting on
we're getting wild.
Digital. It's wide. It's kind of not wide. We're doing all of the shit.
All of it.
He goes all the way the fuck in.
Which I admire, too. I think
that is very
gotta
admirable.
Respect it. You got
Yeah.
They went for it in this for sure.
He goes balls out. You're at no point in the movie, even if you dislike the movie, are you like, they're kind of tiptoeing around this movie. It's like, nah, man, they're all the way in this movie.
Well,
they're trying all the things.
There was some tiptoeing around with the mines because you want to be careful not to step on those. Also, we got an alert from the chat. Our good friend, former host, John Burr, is in the chat.
He is?
He's saying he's haunting us like a ghost, but we all know that's not true.
No, he's not dead.
He's not dead. But...
John, I'm actually sort of glad that, I mean, I love John, but I'm sort of glad that he isn't here because he does not like this movie very much, and it makes me uncomfortable for a white person to not like this movie.
It's that much.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, you should just say you like it, even if you don't like it. You don't want to get us in trouble.
It goes both ways, though, because when I went to see Django, and you and I may have seen it together, this like white lady was like, oh my God, I love it. It's so good. I was like, maybe you shouldn't like this movie that much.
Yeah, I have to pretend that I don't like that movie, even though I think it's amazing.
Hell yeah.
But, okay, so, eventually they get back and they have the gold, but most of them don't survive, sadly.
Yeah.
And that's basically the plot.
Yeah, that's basically it.
That's all you need to know.
There's a lot of sad stuff.
Oh.
Just a lot of sad stuff.
Michael, there's so much sad stuff. We're going to talk about it all. First, we have to talk about our gyros.
Yes, we do.
Our beef lamb gyro our very favorite part of the picture. Do you have one locked and loaded, or shall I go?
I have an early one, but we can go back and forth. I have a few in here. I'm gonna be completely transparent. I did not open up the notes as I usually do because it kept jumping in the way of the stream. So it's stuck on my phone, so I'm gonna be scrolling a lot. I'm not playing games on my phone. I'm looking for
pretty amazing if you were.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
There's just two of us, and one of us is playing a game.
You can hear it like beep. Okay, so yeah. Here we go. I did buy Mario Sunshine today.
What is Mario Sunshine?
Okay, this is not a part of the podcast.
This is not at all Defy Bloods.
Yeah, here's Michael's gamer report. Ding ding dong dong dong. I am on Twitch as Mappy Hikes if you ever want to watch a dummy play games. So it's an old game that came out for the GameCube where you like literally just like clean up this island with all this like ink that these octopuses are shooting at. It's really goofy, but it has a special place in my heart. So it's like, I gotta get it. But now I gotta find a way to stream it to my computer because I didn't think about that. But I'll figure it out. I'm smart.
It's gonna work out, and I believe in you.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't even remember why I brought that up, but...
Because you were gonna talk about your favorite part of the movie.
One of my early favorite parts is that... When they first run into each other, the four Bloods that are left, the cowboy type, the one who owns the car places, he just goes, "God damn!" Like, and I love the idea of just screaming that in a hotel lobby
from like 100 yards away. Yeah. He's like way across the room, like, just screaming at his friend.
It's amazing. That's the kind of love that the Bloods have, and it establishes that early. So that was one of my heroes. What about you, Shaw?
I think a cool thing about that and about the movie in general is that it could be a kind of trudging, miserable movie because it's about people in Vietnam, which was a miserable thing, and it's about people who are back into Vietnam, remembering their dead friend, which is also miserable. And it's about people who are getting old and their bodies are failing them, which is miserable.
Very miserable.
It's about PTSD, which is miserable. It's about like father-son relationships that are kind of tense at the very least, which is rough. But it manages to be at least like 13% light. There's enough of them being funny that it is not just miserable.
Well, I would say the first half. Then it just sinks into depressing, horrific.
It gets pretty rough. Though, there's still, what is his name? Hauser. What is his full name?
Who is Hauser?
I want to know. The guy who was, oh, God. I'm looking him up.
Oh, no.
Where is this fucking...
This is...
Paul Walter Hauser.
Well, that's a crazy name.
The overweight gentleman who played Richard Jewell. You don't remember?
I didn't notice
one of
any.
The three white people.
Maybe big boned, extra.
The big boy. He is always silly.
I wondered where I'd seen him. I was like, he looks so familiar. Yeah. And not in that way that like everybody looks kind of familiar because they're human, but
He's also in the last one, Black Klansman. He plays one of the dim-witted racist.
I could see that for him.
He's really good as a dim-witted racist. He's also in that really good Key and Peele sketch where the guy is burned and he wants to get made fun of at the comedy club. Yeah. He's in that one too. I
love that bit, and I can laugh at that bit because I have a leg that's messed up. So
that's. Well, I can laugh at it because I once set a man on fire.
Yes.
So I think that allows me to move. My hero, I've got like 10, but my main hero is music in general.
Oh, yeah.
And it is often my main hero because I don't think of new things. I'm very simple-minded.
Yes.
But in this case, Terrence Blanchard's score is gorgeous.
And
gorgeous. It is gorgeous, yes. And it is kind of noble, these kind of powerful horns, and it is very nakedly emotional.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
In the emotional moments, it just goes, we're gonna just pull out all the stops.
Please
We're really
do.
going to tug on the heartstrings. We are going to make this as emotional as possible, and I love that.
Yeah, and I have to say, sometimes stuff like that can edge on cheesy, but
Yes.
it does work in this movie. And lately in my life, I've been incredibly emotional. Like this Smithless thing, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So it really worked in this.
Yes, it totally works for me. And also, in addition to that, the musical choices in general, it's a lot of Marvin Gaye, and there's a lot of moments where the music is just perfect. There are two that I really love.
Yeah.
There's one part where they have first arrived out, and they're like walking out in Vietnam trying to find the spot, and they are all singing the Marvin Gaye song "What's Happening, Brother?"
Yeah.
And they all sing it together, and
that's sweet.
It's just really, really good.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like it is playing over the soundtrack, but they are also singing to it.
Yeah,
they're all singing together, and the song's so beautiful, and that's just wonderful. And there is like a similar moment where they start playing the vocal only version of what's going on.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
And it's just Marvin, and it's so gorgeous.
Yeah, that hit my soul. I was like, oh my god.
Man.
It's intense.
And there's also another moment. This is the third. Did I say two? I mean three. When they first unearth Storm Norman's body.
Yes.
The skeleton.
Oh my gosh.
And they're playing. I sadly do not know which song it is, but there's a Marvin Gaye song, and the saxophone's really beautiful, and he's singing real pretty, and it's just kind of there, sitting there, and like they are like holding hands, like they put their hands on top of each other's hands, and Delroy is pretty awesome throughout.
Yeah, he's great.
But Delroy is like talking to Storm and Norman, and he's like sort of praying for him, and he's like, "We're bringing you back," and he's kind of breaking up.
Yeah,
and man, it is good.
I will tell you what. When they start digging up the bones, it really got me. Like the desperation and like, did we find him? Really got me. But I have to say, this is where we disagree.
Say it.
There are parts where like they really nail it, and then like, oh, that's crazy. I do not feel comfortable saying this anymore with him.
Say it.
For those listening, Sean held up a green bottle, so the green screen showed the actor's face, and it's very intense. Anyway, he's got the actor behind him, the actor I'm speaking of.
Delroy
Lindo. And I think it was like super emotional, and I was like so invested. And then the speech kind of like, sometimes it just got a little heavy-handed. I think a lot of times in this movie it just goes a little too, and you're like, this is so important for people to hear, but the way it's being told is a bit just like sloppy or something. And I'm like, that's kind of made this moment kind of cheap, because it was like really beautiful. So that kind of, I was on board with you for half of the Euro, and then I put it down and said, I can't eat anymore.
I'm not eating this shit. I will say, as a direct counterpoint to what you're saying, for me, like, that's part of the thing about Spike that I like. True. And I mean, the swinging for the fences part that I already discussed, like the fact that he's just like kind of, this is nakedly, insanely emotional, and he's just like talking. He's like, we're gonna take you home, and he's sad. And like even later, another Euro, probably the like most balls out, insane part of the movie, when Delroy is like walking. He has abandoned his family, like he's abandoned his son and his entire group of friends, and he's like, they're not going to get me. Cancer's not going to kill me. He's like looking straight into the camera the whole time for a long ass speech. Like that shit I love, but it is insane. Like it's crazy to have like a 2 or 3 minute scene of someone walking through the woods really close to their face. Especially since it's a movie that's full of long shots and medium shots of like 4 or 5 people standing in a group. And then suddenly, for a really long time, we've got this long ass shot of Delroy Lindo. It's close as fuck to his face. Yeah. The focus is really, as I watched that, I was just feeling so sad for the focus puller. Yeah. Because he must have been in hell.
Yeah.
Just every moment, because the camera is not always. Delroy is moving closer and further away from the camera. He's walking. He's stopping. He's walking again.
And it did not feel like they could have really rehearsed it, because there's so much where he just like chooses to slice a branch or something, and you're like, who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
but, yeah. And memorizing that, holy crap!
Oh
like,
my
that's
God.
a feat. Like that part, like there were sometimes in this, and it might have been more writing, where I was like, I don't know about his character.
Yes.
But like that performance, that part especially, I was like, oh my gosh, that he sold it. That was really good.
Yes. There are so many moments in this where they are on the nose. They're extremely on the nose. Where he's like, oh, we got to build a wall and keep the Mexicans out thing. And where you're like, okay, Trump is bad, and he's, we get it.
We get it.
But I kind of like, I like parts of that. That is pretty heavy-handed, but I like the fact that he is, at least for me, in some ways the least likable character.
Absolutely.
Or in many ways the least likable character, because he's kind of an asshole. He abandons his family. Like, he does all the bad things that you don't want a person to do. And also he's like a Trump dude, and I don't like Trump.
And like still buys into his own psychosis like the whole time. Like most of the time you're like, oh wow. Yes. This is crazy.
But I also like that he is also kind of the one you most identify with.
Yeah, he's
like, he is the one that has those big speeches and stuff. He's kind of seems like he is if there is a lead, the lead.
Yeah, true. Very much so.
I also like his. This is another Euro. The first time he shows up at like a great character moment in a shirt. He shows up and he has an American flag skull shirt.
Yeah.
And you see that, and this is way before he even puts on the "Make America Great Again" hat. You see him with that shirt, and you go, I have a pretty good idea of what kind of dude this guy is.
Tell, yeah.
He's like one of those guys. He's one of those insane guys who wears skull t-shirts.
Yeah. Which was fast. I mean, I think that was a really smart move to like chance that, like to have such a prominent character be just like completely very unlikable, but then also tie you in where like you understand why he is like this, because he literally suffered through horrors of war.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, killed his best friend, hero, whatever.
Yes, and then his spiritual advisor, like something close to a god to him, like this very important person in life.
Which he may have wanted to examine his relationship with him. It may be unhealthy. Yes, but also like the whole like greater context of like black people being forced into a war when the country just like treats them like shit. Like there was so much to this movie that had so much like rich weight to it. Yes. And like sometimes they really nailed it. Sometimes they were too over the top with it. But that character, I think, was a really wild choice. And I hadn't seen that ever. And it's so recent. It was interesting to see like a Trump supporting black person. Because anytime I've seen that in interviews, I'm like, what? This is real? And then so it
always seems fake. But I think he pulls it off. Yeah. I mean, he just seems like a real dude. And you're never like, oh, this is some fake dude. You're like, oh no, Delroy's real. This is this is a real guy. A few more things that I like.
Oh, please.
When they show, this is another one of those insane things that Spike Lee does. They show Neil Armstrong, and it says Neil Armstrong, da moon.
I didn't catch that. That's great.
It's so good. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I guess it's maybe not. I don't even know if it is ridiculous or not. Like the whole like Spike Lee joint, all of that thing where like the culture is part of the thing, and it's cool but also weird. But like the moon is hilarious. Like, it seems like it's silly, but I also like it. It's like, well, okay, that's insane, but I like it.
It's similar to just kind of how I feel about the whole thing. Like in one way I admire like how far he pushes, like he's like, no, this is the statement, this is what my stuff's about. Yes, I don't really give a shit if it's over the top or like yeah, I'm gonna cut to JPEGs of like historical picture. Like, who gives a shit? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So in a way, I admire it, and he's doing his own thing. He's not.
Yes.
And it does break a lot of the rules of like cinema and stuff, which is fun to see because
Yes.
it's just like a white world, just to be honest. So it's like it is nice to see.
Yes, absolutely.
But I was kind of talking to. Well, no, I won't say any more bad things. I'm going to talk about another Euro.
Let's talk about some good things. We got plenty of bad things.
Yeah, but before I do that, I'm going to go to the Kill Donkeys because Chad Ryden has a favorite part. Ooh. And his favorite part is the one-legged kid jumping around with the fireworks, which was a crazy scene that I did not see coming at all.
It is really insane.
Because you got like this tension from his name was Paul in the movie, where he like kind of got upset at some people who were staring at them, but they were actually like supporters of them.
Yes,
which was interesting. But then like this kid comes up and like wants a donation or something, and Paul, a couple times in the movie, gets very upset when people won't just like leave him alone.
Yes.
And he gives him some money, or they give him some money, I think, right? And
yes. Then, what is his name? Clark Peters, Otis.
Otis, which
money. Yes.
I think he was another favorite of mine. I don't know what I've seen that guy in, but I really like. I thought he's
on The Wire. Mm-hmm. He is in John Wick for like 13 seconds before he gets killed.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Poor guy.
That's pretty cool. The poor guy. Well, I thought he was great. But yeah, they give the kids some money and then he surprises them and he's like, GI, GI. Yeah. They all freak out, which is very darkly funny.
Yes, he shoots off some fireworks and they all have instant PTSD and like hit the deck because they're afraid they're getting shot.
Yeah, it's intense.
Which is pretty great. I also recently watched Ken Burns' Vietnam, and I mean, I had not watched it the first time I watched The Five Bloods, and then I now having seen it, like, I don't know, maybe it made it more resonant or something. It's interesting that, like the dudes in the bar who are buying drinks for The Five Bloods, these Vietnamese dudes who like were fighting for Ho Chi Minh. It's interesting that like they're all there. I mean, it's if we had a civil war in the U.S. and we did at some point, and there were just like both people sitting in the same bar, just feels insane to think about. Like you go to visit the country where you were shooting people, just sounds weird. Insane. And also the fact that there is also this crazy mutual respect is also insane, because like one of the big, and they touch on this, one of the big Vietnamese things that they were doing during the war was just trying to convince people that, especially black people in the war, that they are fighting an unjust war.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like they're fighting for a country that doesn't love them. They talked about it on the radio. Yeah. With what is her name?
I don't know.
That lady.
The lady.
The Vietnamese lady who was on the radio.
Yeah, I liked her.
Yes, she's great. And the fact that like now, I mean, all the people who were fighting in the Viet Cong for the Ho Chi Minh were just like, I don't know, we're all fighting things. Yeah. We don't hate you because you're soldiers. We hate you because you're, just in our country trying to kill us.
Exactly.
We don't hate you by yourself as a person.
Yeah. Which they can't really say for America, but that's okay.
America, 2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs down. Which, I mean, this kind of piggybacks off that. Chad also mentioned something he liked, where how they opened the film with that Muhammad Ali quote, which I did. Yes. That was really beautiful. It was. Yeah. I think to ask a persecuted group of people to then sacrifice, it is like absolutely insane. And I mean, I've always just. Like, what is it? Conscientious objectors. Like, it's like you should never be in a situation where you're forced to have to go kill people. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So I was like, this is a good way to open this and sets the tone.
I think he does a few. I mean, there's bunches of like going back and going forth and going way back and then going to current times, Black Lives Matter stuff, all sorts of stuff. And almost all of that works pretty well. And he does the same thing in BlacKkKlansman. He does it in like a lot of his movies where Like there are these moments where he goes, yeah, this is a movie about Malcolm X, but here's some stuff from right now.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, okay, cool.
Great.
That's pretty insane thing to do in a movie about Malcolm X, but that's great. I'm glad you did it because it works perfectly. Okay, a few other positive things.
Yes, and I have a couple euros on my list as well.
Drop one on me.
Okay. There's a great part where Otis is meeting with his long lost love Tien, and they're having dinner, and then a young woman comes in who very clearly seems biracial. Yeah, most of they're like, oh, that's definitely his daughter.
Has to be.
And then Otis has a moment where he's just like putting it together, and he's like trying to put words to it, and it was just like really fun. The way he acted it was hilarious to me.
Yes,
I was like, this is really good.
I like that moment a lot because it is like a little bit funny, but also like a little bit emotional. Like he is so good in that moment, Clark Peters, and he takes so much time. I mean, like I admire Spike Lee's patience in this moment, or I don't remember who edited it. Probably Spike Lee in addition to some other guy.
True.
Old lady. And but like the patience of that scene is really nice because it's like he's just gathering his thoughts for a pretty long time. And he's just like, could she maybe be my daughter? He goes real slow-mo, and I like it.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm going to drop one more positive thing.
I have two more.
Okay, then I'll drop two more positive things. One, and this, they don't do this much, and which is probably makes sense because this is a movie about 4 black soldiers going back to Vietnam. But there's this one moment where they kind of focus for a brief moment on the Vietnamese soldiers, and where we are with the soldiers back in Vietnam days, and Vietnam War days, not in current Vietnam days. And they are sneaking up on some unsuspecting Viet Cong soldiers. And one of them is talking about how his wife left him this scarf. He found this scarf in his bag, and inside of it there was this poem. And he's like, I think I can remember it. And he's reciting kind of this sweet poem. And all of his friends are like, wow, I wish my lady would do a poem for me. And there's like this really, I mean, it is kind of insidious the way it is done because it's such a sweet moment. And like even though they're not really showing this poem, they're not showing this scarf, but like those bits of business are really kind of moving and sweet, and you go, oh, that's nice that he had this scarf and there's a poem in there, and it's so sweet. And then they just get blown the fuck up, like then the 5 Bloods shoot them up, and kill them.
Which I mean is a great way to like show that duality of like war. It's just like these are all real people. And, it's brutal. Like though I mean it was tough. Like I don't know. I've never been a super big like war movie person per se, but there are some good ones. But I think like maybe just mainly because I'm not a fan of just the idea of war. Why like not? Fictionalized. Yeah, there's something doesn't sit right.
You don't like war?
About
which part?
All parts.
Oh,
but,
okay.
You know, I love the brotherhood. You know, it brings people together. No, but I don't know. I was just sitting there, just like, man, war is just so stupid. I was like, this is so dumb.
It is really, really stupid,
and it's just brutal for everybody, and has such bad lasting effects. Anyways, we all know this. No one's listening, going, I never thought about it that way.
Maybe it is. Maybe there's someone. There was a time when I was maybe 13 and I was like, I don't know about war. I don't even understand it. And if I was listening to this, I'd be like, wait a minute. Are you telling me war is bad?
War? Who? Yeah. What is it good for?
Exactly. We should not stop talking about the 5 Bloods, but for a brief moment, I need to shout out the tambourine in Edwin Starr's War.
Ooh.
Once you're done listening to this episode, head over to your favorite streaming app and listen to Edwin Starr's War and listen for the tambourine.
Yes.
It's fucking amazing. Some of the best tambourine ever. There's like weird tambourine rolls.
Wow.
It's amazing. He's like, oh, it's so good.
I'm a big fan of that. And speaking of big fans, Chad Ryden said he was a big fan of War up until now. So we actually have changed one person's mind.
And it's all worth it just to change.
If I can change one person's life in any
entire
way.
Life.
Yeah.
Even in a negative way.
Even in a negative way, which we are about to get to in our low main section. But I've got two more euros I'm going to do real fast. There's, I think Otis says it. I don't even remember why he says it, but he just goes, "Ain't that some doo-doo?" I thought that was really funny. Like, that's good. That's really good. Also,
that's wonderful.
Otis kind of reminded me of my dad the whole time, so it was like this weird, I maybe had this weird connection with him. Anyway, there's also the part where they have to pull David, who's Paul's son, off the mine was just like so intense because their friend had just gotten blown up, and you're like, holy shit, this movie's like going for it. So I was like, please don't kill him.
Yes.
And luckily they don't, but it was just so intense. I was like, damn.
And speaking of mines, one final euro, and then we're talking negative.
Yeah.
I like the way the mine is deployed.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're talking about mines. You know mines are there.
Yes,
there's like this scene with this French lady where they're talking about mines. So you know mines are going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Chekhov's mine. And there's the guy played by Isaiah Whitlock, Melvin. He's got a metal detector. And they're like looking for gold. And the whole time he has that metal detector, I'm thinking, this motherfucker is going to blow up.
I really thought,
because he keeps going up to new metal things and going, oh, here it is. And people keep just like jamming spades into the ground. And you're like, oh, God.
Good.
And so it's like probably 50 times of that.
Yeah.
Where at some point you are desensitized to it. You're like, okay, I guess there's no mines. and then their friend Eddie, he gets blown the fuck up.
Yeah, he's like angrily yelling about like what they're gonna do. I don't even remember. Like,
he's yelling about reparations and stuff.
And then
he gets blown the fuck up.
And it is brutal. Like, I was not expecting them to show it. I was like, holy crap.
And it's cool old school effects.
Yeah.
They got him. He's just buried in the ground, and they attach some rubber to his arms and his chest, and it's shooting out blood.
Ooh, it's nuts.
And he looks fucked up. It's awesome. It's like, oh, good. Yes. Bury him in the ground, put some goo on him.
Oof. It works.
You see an actor walk up to him.
Yeah.
And hold his head, and you go, wow, that's a real person in physical space.
It's terrifying.
Oh, it's rough.
I am going to confess something too, just to interrupt you completely.
No, I was essentially done.
I know that's right. No. I fully cheated during the metal detector because I was listening through headphones, and I was like so worried about a sudden explosion. I was like, well, and I pressed up on the Netflix thing and like went over a few frames just to see if he blew up, and he didn't. So I was like, okay, he's safe.
Wow.
Little did I know the other guy was gonna blow.
That poor bastard.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
he was rich, and then he was poor.
Then he was dead.
And then he was dead.
That's how it works for all of us.
But his family got $2 million. That's not bad.
Yeah, they're great. They're doing great.
Low mains.
Let's hit it.
Let's talk about our low man of this film, The Five Bloods. I'll go first.
Yeah, you should go first.
This is a long-ass movie.
So long.
It's a really long movie.
Stupidly long.
And I quite like it. There's so much shit in this movie that I really, really like. And sometimes love.
Yeah.
There's really powerful shit all over. But it is long.
Yeah.
It's a long fucking movie.
Very much so.
And... 2.5 hours is not that long. Almost every movie now because of Marvel is 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But it is, maybe in some ways self-consciously long.
Yeah.
Because it is about a journey, because it is kind of a traveling through time epic where you see them as young and you see them as old and you see the journey, and there's a physical and emotional journey. So, and also, you know, the framing of different parts is meant to evoke kind of classic epics and all of that. So it may even be totally self-conscious that it feels long, but it's long.
Yeah, very.
It's just a long fucking movie.
It's unavoidable, and it at times you're like, I get that. I think some movies nail it where you're like, oh my gosh, the weight of this, the feeling of this, like it is a part of it. Yes. But some of this did just feel like, all right, this is kind of going on too long, and especially like there was like the big climax at the ruins or whatever.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, thank goodness, what a relief. And then cut to David reading the letter from his dad, and then you get a flashback. You're like, this is just too much. Like, there need to have been some more editing, I think, because it just, to me, I was just kind of like, I remember pausing it at one point and going, there's still 40 minutes. Like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Yeah. So that is definitely on the list for me. It's like,
I mean, I think I kind of like the postscript of like Delroy talking to the camera again.
Yeah, that is nice.
I always want more Delroy, but maybe just get rid of some of the ruins scene, or just something where
they could have gotten rid of this, because I love the first time Delroy's talking to the camera, like the big like spiraling speech, but then he gets on a second one later, and you're like, oh, we don't need to cut to this again.
Yes,
I get that then he has that epiphany with his ghost friend, but it's just like, it was just I was like, oh, he's still doing that, like,
or even if those are just linked.
Yeah, true.
I mean, if those are the same scene,
true,
that worked. And I like the epiphany scene, and also the way it's put together is really good, because like you go into this magical world and you don't even realize it. Like, they're showing Delroy, he's still doing his speech, which is why is he still doing it? But he's still doing his speech, and they kind of pan up, and then they go back around, and you see Storm and Norman.
Yeah.
And in this kind of golden light, and you go, oh, fuck. He is fully snapped.
Yeah, he has fully snapped. But in a good way now.
Oh, yeah. In this case, a good way. He's gone completely insane, but it's not in a bad way. Because Storm and Norman forgives him.
Yes. Ooh. Oh my gosh. And I just put this together because I love the hard cut to, oh, he's actually digging his own grave.
Yes.
He's about to be murdered. And I love, it's kind of a foil to the, if that's even how I'm using it right, but like a foil to the earlier scene we talked about with the Vietnamese soldiers, like just like talking, and then they get all like brutally murdered by the soldiers. Because then he's like singing about Jesus and stuff, and then they just blow him away. You're like, holy shit.
It's so rough.
Yeah, like, damn.
I mean, Delroy is the star of the show.
Yeah.
He's so good. Mm-hmm. His work in this moment with Storm and Norman is so fucking amazing, because unlike most people who cry in movies, he like breaks down like when you are really, really sad and you let it all go and you look fucking ridiculous and you're like just kind of like heaving and weeping.
Absolutely.
Like you were like, oh shit. This motherfucker is sad.
Yeah.
This guy is sad as hell.
Yeah, you feel it for sure.
We got to talk about more negative things. What are the other negative things, Michael?
Okay, I mean, I kind of brought it up like a bit too heavy-handed, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But like I really struggled with like the like name dropping of like the figures. I really get it, but like it just doesn't feel real. Like, I've never been around people being like, and it's like when Christmas added, like, it's just like, no one is doing this. I'm so, like, this is too much for me.
Yes.
But I totally get it. And like,
it's weird in those spots because I admire them more than I like them.
Yeah.
Like, there's something cool about the fact that he's like, well, I want a little history. I'm going to throw a little history lesson inside of this movie.
Yeah.
If you don't know this history bit,
here you go.
Here it is. And here's a picture of him.
And here's a picture.
Isn't that fun?
With some text.
But it also kind of is like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, it feels, I don't know. I think maybe because I work in like YouTube stuff, it feels too like, now we're cutting to a picture with some text on it, like a YouTube video. It just feels, it takes me out of the movie. Like a Silence did it too, where like at one point they randomly cut to like a picture of Jesus and it's like black on all. I was like, what the fuck? Like it just like throws me completely out of the movie, like stuff like that. But I don't know. I do admire it too. I kind of like what I was saying earlier. Just like he does just go for it. He's like, this is what I'm making.
I mean, he's definitely doing things that I don't see in other movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't think there's any other movie I've seen where somebody just like mentions a historical figure and then they show a picture of him.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, all right, that's him.
It's a crazy thing to do.
It is pretty crazy.
And I think it works 50% of the time.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
and if this movie was, considerably shorter, there'd have been less time to.
That's true. Yeah, and I mean. The times when it doesn't work, like the Christmas Addicts one, is like just fucking weird, and also like a very, very odd time to do it. Yeah. Like you guys just found a bunch of gold, and then you go, this reminds me of history.
It's just.
Whereas
hokey.
if I found what is clearly millions of dollars, even in 1969, I would go. Yippee! And I would just start yelling and go, yeah, money.
Yeah.
I would go, this reminds me of back in 1642
when brother blah blah. Which at that time I get it was like way more like everything was so aggressively race related, and like I totally get that. I'm sure everybody was super passionate about that, and like it just I don't know. It just was weird. Like you're saying, the timing, the setting feels weird to go into it.
But the other side of that coin is like the Muhammad Ali thing is sort of the same thing.
True.
But that thing fucking works great.
Well, it's like one thing to open a movie. Like I'm totally fine with, because it's like it's in a montage of like old footage. Like it felt like earned to be there. Like we're setting up this idea. It just was weird to sprinkle it in. Like I would much prefer them cut to clips of like clips like that interview or something throughout, or like I don't know, things that felt like embedded in that time rather than just like here's a picture. It just felt weird to me. I don't know. Anyway,
this is dangerous.
Go ahead.
Martin Luther King Jr. thing at the end. It feels kind of weird to me, just because it is the very end.
Yeah,
and it in a movie that is, I guess, pretty negative in general, to end with that, where it is like, hey, here's Martin Luther King Jr. talking about how there is no America for me, but I'm going to try to find an America for me, which is a hopeful thing. And then they cut to, he was killed 1 year later, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Is a lot.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sean. It is awful, but it is also just like the reality.
Oh, sure. No, I totally agree with that. I think maybe the thing that is weird to me about it is like how rough it is.
It is very.
I mean, I guess there's so much shit in this movie that is really rough. But it's just like weird to go, hey, here's this slightly helpful statement, and he was killed 1 year later, and you go, oh.
I audibly was like, oh, what? Like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal. You just go, oh shit.
Life is brutal. I mean, I guess
then it scrolls, and then. Well,
was
thanks for coming to Five Bloods.
Yeah, thanks. I hope you have a good time.
The exit is right behind you.
Remember, racism is alive and well. See you around.
Yeah, I mean, imagine seeing this in a theater. Yeah. Walking out of the theater just going, fuck.
Yeah, I feel like every white person would be very uncomfortable, and I would love that. That would be a relish. It's like seeing Get Out. It's like, yes, finally, you all feel it. But yeah, I don't know. It was like, I wrote down in my notes, I was like, this is an incredibly depressing movie. Like, just so sad. It's like
so sad.
It's like wild. So that, I mean, which the situation in real life is very sad. So it fits. But Okay, here's another low main. This is just a little. And this is probably just more me because I've never really been like hyper masculine. Oh, bro, blah blah blah. But like, I just like really got bummed out by some of the like holding out the fists. Like, come on, you're gonna bump it. Like, it's just like this is just it's kind of dumb. Bump. It just feels really dumb to me. But I get it if that's what you do to show your whatever.
That doesn't bother me too much. Maybe just because it is like there's something cool. At least one of the times they do it where I like it. They do a lot of long fist bumps. Sure. So maybe it's an overdose on fist bumps. Yeah. But the one part where it works for me is they're on this boat and Delroy has had an extreme panic attack with a guy who's trying to sell him a chicken.
Oh, that was wild.
And then yells, "You killed my father and mother," and Delroy cannot handle that.
That was intense.
And then when they do the fist bump, it is like, this is the only way to diffuse this situation because half of this group is about to kill the other half. And we might kill just a random guy in a boat near us. True. So I like it in that part, but there is a lot of fist bumping.
Yeah, it's a lot, but that's okay. That was an intense scene. And it was like the first insight into Delroy's character of like how broken he was because he just like breaks into like I see ghosts. Like I was like, whoa, this is intense.
I see ghosts.
Because up until then I was like, God, I just hate this character. But which was a good use of that.
He got you.
He got me.
I mean, that's one of the really lovable things about this movie is like, what a dirty trick is to have like the worst possible character, a guy who's just like an asshole and a deadbeat dad and like a piece of shit, and you're like, shit, I like him too.
I also
God damn it,
because there's like sweet moments like where he finally opens up to his son and he's just like, I love you. Like there's just sweet stuff where you're like, oh, that was a lot.
You fucker.
There's some good stuff, and everybody for the most part did really good. Like no one sticks out as like, oh, you kind of ruined this. So I don't know. I thought everybody did pretty good.
Yeah.
And over, like, it's weird. It's not, like, bad. I just think parts of it were hokey or cheesy.
Yes.
And I kind of talked to my friend Kelsey about this, about, like, when directors get older. She was saying, like, some of their work kind of seems, like, too sentimental or, like...
Yes.
Something about it. Or they get maybe more detached or something they just don't realize. I don't know.
I think maybe it may honestly be the exact opposite.
Oh, whoa.
I think cynicism is like a young man's game.
True.
I think at some point, especially about something like this, like so much weight, like I think he was just like, I can get as fucking sentimental as I want to because this is the fucking Vietnam War. This is black guys in the Vietnam War, so I'm gonna just go crazy with the sentimentality. And I think it's tough. Especially because we are not used to that. Yeah. I mean, we are so not used to sentimental stuff. Like there's plenty of like kids movies that are sentimental, but there aren't that many movies with a bunch of adult characters that are kind of nakedly sentimental like that. And it's a fucking bold move. I mean, once again, as with so many things in this movie, sometimes it works great and sometimes it doesn't work that great.
But at least they tried it.
I just like the fact that he tried it.
Yeah. I do see that. Like, we're in such a weird, cold, distant time where, like, anything... I know so many people who, like, they're just so, like, detached and, like...
Yes.
I don't know if it's, like, trying to be cool to just be a cruel asshole. But it's like, no, it's okay to feel things and be a real person.
I mean, it also is, I don't know. I just like, I like this sort of thing. Now, will I watch this movie again anytime soon? Probably not. Because it's long and it's so fucking depressing as hell. It's incredibly depressing.
Very taxing.
Brutal in many ways.
Yes, like, which I did love when it, like, escalated, like, that first, like, really intense action scene where they get, like, basically like cornered by these Vietnamese soldiers. I don't know if they're soldiers, but they have guns, and they're like, "We're taking your gold," basically, and it just like gets insane, like a full-on shootout. And I love, like, David, the son, like, tackles one dude, and then he gets, like, shot in the leg, and I love Paul just instantly grabs the guy's gun, lifts it up in the air, and just stabs him to death. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
that was intense.
It's cool that we've talked about how many cool things there are, but it is cool that they are so skilled.
Yeah.
The fact that they are all just really good soldiers. Like, there's a part at the end where Isaiah Whitlock has an AK-47, and he's shooting people, and he's just going prep, 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 killing people. He's not, like, shooting off a bunch of bullets. He's, like, just... He was a trained soldier, and he still got it somehow, and he just goes, prep, 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 prep.
Yeah,
he's killing people, just a few shots, and that's all he needs.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's sort of, like, we're all badasses. We are still... There's the remnants of our badassery, and we're still badasses. It's cool.
And it's beautiful because they all, like, they just all play as, like, really, like, just actual people. Like, they don't feel like actors, like, heightening what it is to be, like, a soldier. It's just like, no, I'm just a real human. And, like, but then to see them, like, fall back into those roles is very interesting. And I didn't mention this, but this is my all-time hero of the whole picture.
Whoa, are you doing a snake attack of a last-minute Euro?
Yeah, we slurped up the last noodle, and I went, you know what? I got another Euro.
I got one more noodle, baby.
A Euro-shaped noodle. It is when they're tricking them. So, like, they're at the ruins, and Otis has the bag, and then the Vietnamese guy, like, dumps all the rocks out.
Yes.
And he's like, you whatever, like, you tricked us. And then as soon as he pulls the bag down, Otis just, like, instantly shoots him in the head. And it's just like, it's so, you're just like, I almost did the Aquaman thing. So badass. It was just great. You're like, whoa. And you, like, already kind of hate that guy because how brutally they killed Paul. So you're like, but, you know, it happens.
Hey,
what are you gonna do?
Sometimes you have to kill people.
You do
in self-defense, and sometimes you have to head over to our Twitter at Food Court Cast. You have to follow us. You have to tweet at us. You have to retweet everything we do. You have to go. You are required to go over to Instagram and follow us at Food Court Movie Podcast. You are also these are all requirements. They must be done within 24 hours. You have to go over to your favorite podcast app and write us a wonderful review. Give us 5 stars. Tell all of your friends. And you have to go to the poll. Almost every week we do a poll. It's going to be over on our Twitter.
Yes,
and we're going to figure out what we're going to watch next week. I have a few guesses, but I won't reveal them on the show. So you must go over to at Food Court Cast on Twitter and vote.
Also, I don't know if I was just inspired by the amazing black performances in this movie, but there was you like black movies? Here's another black movie. Like, it was suggested to me on Netflix. I was like, oh, that's weird, but it has it's about, like, a jazz singer. It's got, like, Viola Davis, and it's got Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yeah, and I was like, this could be really cheesy and bad, or it could be really good. So, at some point, that could be a nice one.
Okay. We'll put it on the list.
Put it on the list.
Michael?
Yeah?
I want to, as always, I want to thank you so much for being on. It's been such a pleasure doing this show with you.
Oh, it was great.
And I want to say to the people listening, thank you for listening and or watching.
Thank you so much.
And I want to say, for all the people and for everyone on Earth, I want to say, bon appetit.
Ain't that some doo-doo?